You slide into my mentions with your unsolicited truth. You already can, like that's supposed to help me like I never knew. You wanna debate, but you don't want a solution. You want me performing my pain for your amusement. You assume I'm not serious, assume it's for attention. Assume if you argue long enough, I forget what I mentioned. I am not looking for attention, I am looking for a right. Those are not the same thing, no matter how you spin the fight. You say, go to another country, like I should have to flee to exercise a right over my own body. Either I own my life or I don't. Which one is it? Say it to my face, say it. You already can. You think that's an answer. You already can't. You think that's kind. No reasonable person chooses a cliff over a clinical depth, and you know that. So if you take away the dignified option and leave me the bottom one and call that a choice that is false, and you know that too. You can rob a man at gunpoint, tell him he had a choice. He could have taken a bullet, does that make it not force? The gun doesn't disappear because an alternative existed. The coercion doesn't vanish because you can point at the cliff and say, technically no reasonable person accept that logic in any other context. But the moment I raise it, suddenly everyone's a philosopher. Suddenly everyone has opinions about a life they don't own, about a body that isn't theirs, about a decision that was never up for debate. You say go to another country, like I should have to flee to exercise a right over my own body. Either I own my life or I don't. Which one is it? Say it to my face, say it. You already can. You think that's an answer. You already can't. You think that's kind. No reasonable person chooses a cliff over a clinical death, and you know that. So if you take away the dignified option and leave me the bottom one and call that a choice that is forced, and you know that too. Let me address you specifically, the one typing the response right now. You are not engaging in good faith. You are not here to change anything. You showed up to perform concern, to feel like you did something while doing nothing. You don't support my right. Fine, say that, own it, but don't hide behind. You already can, like it's an argument, like it's compassionate. Like pointing at a cliff is the same thing as supporting my dignity. If I own my life, you have no opinion, you have no standing, you have no seat at this table. Your feelings about my death are not my responsibility. Your comfort is not my problem. You do not own me. And the moment you act like you do, the moment you tell me to debate, to wait, to go elsewhere, to perform my sincerity for your satisfaction, you have told me everything I needed to know about whose life you think this is. You already can. I already know. That's not the point. Either I own my life or you do. Pick one and say it out loud. Because if I own it, your opinion is just noise. And if you own it, then stop pretending this was ever about me. You already can. I know, I've always known. The question was never whether I could. The question was whether I deserve better than a cliff. And your answer, dressed up in concern, wrapped in debate, hidden behind suggestions of other countries and other options. Your answer was no, just say no. It's more honest than you already can.
Hi, everybody. Let's see who's here. Okay. Yeah, we absolutely do deserve better than a cliff. And I'm going to be addressing this. I know this is sort of repetitive, but then again, so are their arguments and their non sequiturs. So I just really want to state the obvious with this live stream. I mean, because when I debate these people, they think they're actually telling me something probative, something that I haven't considered. You already can. And they basically blame you for your own suffering. They basically say, oh, if you don't really enjoy it, then you would have just taken care of yourself. But I really want to explore that today because we never apply that standard to any other patient. Any other patient is afforded medical assistance. Nobody ever blames the patient who needs medical assistance for their own problems. And some of these procedures are elective. So I just want to go down the line. Let's start out with an elective, well, not necessarily elective, but weight loss procedures, right? People may get gastric bypass, they may get the band. I don't know all these procedures. There are people who get Ozempic. Nobody tells these people that if they really were serious about losing weight, then they would just get on a treadmill. They would just eat less, right? Nobody tells them that they're not serious unless they do it without medical assistance. It's covered under healthcare. Let's talk about fertility. Because they're so quick to tell you that you should go to another country. They don't want to champion for rights in your own country, right? I don't think fertility is covered. I don't know. I'm not really an expert on health insurance. I will be soon enough. But for right now, I guess I'm not going to say determinatively one way or the other, but nobody tells people that if they're having fertility problems that they should go to another country. They want a child, right? And by the way, they keep talking about how procreation is so natural. If it's so natural, why do you need medical intervention? Why are you going? I don't want to be crass, but I guess I'll go there. Since they're not trying to be decent towards us. They will throw everything but the kitchen sink at us. They will come into antinatalist spaces trying to siphon some narcissistic supply. No decency whatsoever. They blame you for your own suffering. So let's do the same thing to them. If procreation is so natural, why? I'm probably going to lose subscribers, but I'm going to fucking say it. Why are you having so many miscarriages? Why are you going against the grain? Because nature is telling you that maybe you shouldn't have a baby, but you're going against nature and you're using fertility drugs and you're having embryos inserted into your vagina. Is anybody telling you to go to another country to do that? No, we mind our business. We let you do whatever you want, but you want to afford us the same grace. And they're basically encouraging death tourism. They're basically saying, oh, well, we're not going to afford you basic rights in your own country, so maybe you should go to another country. And this is proof that the system has failed. This is proof that democracy has failed. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But suffice it to say, if you have to leave your home country in order to get medical procedures, that's just a sure sign that either your society is not compassionate, it's not advanced. It just hasn't really caught up with the times. Let's talk about elective procedures, cosmetic procedures. People get nose jobs. They get tummy tucks. They get Botox. They get facelifts, lip injections, all kinds of shit. Does anybody say that, oh, if you really want to be beautiful, you should just do it on your own. You don't need medical assistance. You can just give yourself a nose job, right? I guess you can get in a fight and maybe if somebody hits you hard enough, maybe they'll reshape your nose. I don't know. But if you were serious, if you were committed enough, then you would find a way to fix your nose. There's all kind of procedures that are purely cosmetic. Some of these procedures are absolutely ridiculous. You got the BBLs where people are literally risking their lives to get silicone injected into their asses. So you're not going to get medical assistance in dying, but you can kill yourself through that. I mean, it's a highly risky procedure, but for whatever reason, they still do it. Collagen leaking all over the place. It's even more dangerous than like breast implants. How far do you want to take this argument? If you need to get your leg amputated, maybe you don't really want to get your leg amputated because you didn't do it yourself. You should amputate your own leg with no anesthesia, no medical assistance whatsoever. You should just figure it out. Because if you don't figure it out, then you're not really serious. You must really want to endure pain. You must really choose. It's your choice to continue bleeding. You deserve to just bleed out. Because that's essentially what they're saying to us. We should just bleed out. We should just continue to suffer. Why stop with that? Let's talk about brain surgery. If you really wanted brain surgery, you should be able to put yourself under anesthesia, operate on your own brain with no medical assistance whatsoever. If you get burns, fractures, if you get chemotherapy, well, I don't know. Talk about chemotherapy. I'm more leaning on the sides towards homeopathic treatments because chemotherapy is trash. But for whatever reason, they still push it on people, and even though it has an alarming high failure rate. But arguendo, let's say chemotherapy actually works. Is anybody telling cancer patients to perform chemotherapy on themselves? Radiation treatments. And mind you, these people who say do it yourself, these people are hardcore statists. They're usually proponents of occupational licenses. They usually are in favor of state gatekeeping. They don't want non-professionals doing, the whole do it yourself. I mean, if they had it their way, you wouldn't even be able to fix your car without a licensed professional. They want you completely dependent on the state, yet when it comes to certain things, all of a sudden they want to go all anarchists on us and say, oh no, the state shouldn't do that. Why not? The state did everything else. What about childbirth? Why do they get medical assistance when they want to breed a human being into hell? And why is the state paying for that? Why? Because I guess it benefits the state. Does it benefit the child who is forced into existence? No. They're compelled to exist whether they want to or not. It is an act of violence. It's not technically a battery because it is legal, but it still violates bodily autonomy. So it still is a violation of battery principles. They're literally pushed into the world through violence. They're ripped out of the mother's womb. They come into the world kicking and screaming, and yet the state pays for this shit. That baby had no agency whatsoever. The baby did not consent because, well, if the baby really wanted to come into this world, maybe the baby would have done it on his or her own without any assistance. But no, that baby was forced. That baby was yanked out of his mother's womb and forced into existence. Well, it already existed, but it was forced into the world. I mean, the conception was forced enough, but it's just layers of violence and extraction and a complete lack of consent and autonomy that exists. It permeates society everywhere, but nobody seems to take notice. I take notice, and when I take notice, they say that I'm wanted. Why? Because you don't want to be held accountable. And I'm fine with it. I'm just calling out the damn double standard. You want choices to do whatever you want. You want choices to get your elective surgeries, to have children. You want your treatments for whatever you want. But when it comes to what we want, now all of a sudden you have a say. Now all of a sudden we get all this damn pushback. Now all of a sudden you're telling us to do it ourselves with no assistance. I'm not even advocating for assistance from the state. I'm not saying it should be a positive right. I want to decriminalize it, and then there are people who are even against that. They're saying that it has to go through the state. No, it does not. They could decriminalize it and it could be completely privatized. But they have created a licensing racket in which only licensed professionals have a complete monopoly. And because they have a monopoly, now they want to use that argument to say that anybody who wants to do anything is necessarily begging for a right from the state, as if these rights didn't already exist under natural law. Under natural law, if we did not live in a civilized country, we would have the right, the natural right, to get medical assistance from anyone, notwithstanding the technology argument, because I know they want to say that. But what's the benefit of civilization if you can't take advantage of it? These people love to tout themselves as being so civilized and so superior, yet they're far more regressive and barbaric than even the most primitive noble savage. I don't think a noble savage would be so callous. I don't think a noble savage would be so callous to human suffering. I just don't see that happening. Mind you, they have so much empathy for animals and they will put an animal out of its misery. But you're human. Oh, you just got to grin and bear it. What is the point of having civilization at all? What is the point of having medical technology, all this skill and training, if all you're going to do is gatekeep on who gets to use it? Mind you, we all pay for this shit. We pay for these institutions. It's not like we have a free market. We're relegated to their doctors, to their licensed medical professionals, yet we don't get a say in whatever services we want. This is, they're acting like this is some type of socialism. No, I'm not asking you to pay for shit. I'll pay for it myself. But you're preventing me from even hiring that person. At the very least, you are creating a chilling effect. That person is not going to assist me out of fear of being prosecuted and losing their medical license. If you want to use the argument that you could just do it for yourself, that same argument needs to be applied to any person who gets medical assistance. Why don't you just hand them a knife? Why don't you tell them to cut out their own tumors? Better yet, why don't you just sell the shit on the free market so they can do whatever they want? They can either do it themselves or find someone else to do it. No, you have made these controlled instruments and substances so that only your licensed professionals have access to it. And then you want to try to project the state dependency on those who actually are anarchists who don't want to be dependent on the state. They got this shit so backwards. It's so fucking perverse. Everybody should be their own doctor if you're going to use this argument. Why do you even go to a doctor for any purpose? I'm not a big proponent of using doctors other than the fact that there is gatekeeping. If I had access to the medications I wanted on the free market, I probably wouldn't be going to the doctors as much. I probably would just order it off the internet. But why not? Well, why stop with doctors? Why don't we just say do it yourself for everything? Why don't we just eliminate all the gatekeeping? If you have a gas leak, why are you calling a plumber? You should do it yourself. Why are you hiring an attorney to represent you? Why can't you do it yourself? Why are you hiring an accountant to help you with your taxes? In every other circumstance, you would say that if you're not trained in that area, you probably need assistance. This is a natural right. It's included in the right to self-ownership. That with the right to own yourself includes the right to preserve what you own. You have a right to hire someone to assist you with the preservation of your life, liberty, and property. But of course, they've inverted natural rights into privileges that come from the damn social contract. But if you were to apply this do it yourself argument to its logical conclusion, it would be the death of all occupational licensing. And they don't support it. So the argument is disingenuous on its face. The entire system is based on dependency on the system. It's based on preventing you from doing it yourself and relying on the system. You can't even get your hair braided without going to someone who's licensed. You're not supposed to get your trees cut. There's certifications and licensing for every damn thing. You're not competent to decide who is competent to assist you. The state should decide that for you, even though you're the one who has to pay for it. But society has done everything in its power to indoctrinate you with the belief that you should not do any thinking for yourself. You should not engage in self-help. You should defer to the damn experts. You don't know anything. You're stupid. You're incompetent. This is what society has taught us. And now there's a complete double standard. A glaring double standard. Do it yourself. You already can. These are not arguments. They're non sequiturs. And this is the reason why I don't want to debate these people. I know it's a complete waste of time. I know they're trying to gaslight me. I know that some of these people, well, they're trying to get views for their channel. And I'm not saying, I mean, my channel is still growing, but for whatever reason, when I go on other people's channel, I tend to get more views. I tend to generate more views for their channel than I can generate for my own. I think part of it has to do with the back and forth. When I'm engaging in a monologue, it's not as interesting as me having a debate with someone. Yeah, those debates are very spirited. People click it. I know. That's what I mean. I'm when I state the obvious, people think that I'm being narcissist. No, it is what it is. I checked on that one channel where I used to go, and they're still talking about me. This last week, I haven't been on that channel in months. They're still talking about it. I don't know why. I don't get it. And it's not like I listen to that channel regularly. When I like randomly check it out, it's like, oh, LA, LA, LA. Like I'm the only damn anti-natalist in the whole community. Why am I don't know. I don't care about being the representative for the community. I think it's because I was so forceful with my arguments that I did not give anybody a free pass. I did call people out for their shit. And really out of all of those debates, it's like I debated so many damn people and I remained completely undefeated. Again, I'm not saying this to be I don't know why I told y'all I'm not narcissistic, I'm schizoid. I'm an extreme introvert. I don't It sounds like it's narcissism, it's really not. It's just I don't really I exist more in my head. It's not a predation. I don't get any pleasure out of narcissistic supply. In fact, I don't want narcissistic supply. Um, you guys really need to learn more about schizoid. I've talked about it, but yeah, I've had that charge being levied against me. It's just not. It's not accurate. I'm not a narcissist, and I am completely self-aware. So, I've done the test. The personality test showed that I had highly schizoid traits. The narcissistic traits were very low. So yes, they gave themselves a monopoly. They gave them not just over the practice of medicine, but the practice of law, the practice of plumbing, accounting, all manner of professions. And then they assume that because you want to do something, which you should already have the right to do, that you want their help. No, not necessarily. I may bypass you altogether. I may hire a crackhead off the street to do it. I don't necessarily need your help, but you have been engaging in gatekeeping to where nobody has a choice but to go through you. A complete monopoly. So you should be stopped from making that argument. If you guys don't know what estoppel is, look it up. When someone engages in conduct, then they can't argue the opposite. Their own conduct it stops them from making that argument. When they say that you already can, they know it's not true because they have erected every possible barrier to prevent you from doing it. I've already talked about these barriers. I don't know if I need to go over them. The I don't know, the gatekeeping of information, of methods, the chilling effect through criminalization, the economic terrorism to where people can lose their entire livelihoods for assisting people like Dr. Kevorkian. Dr. Kevorkian was already retired at that point, so I guess he didn't really care, but he did lose his medical license. He was thrown in prison. And the whole do you already can or do it yourself. I think underneath the surface is ableism hidden in there. because they're assuming that everybody can, that everybody has ability. This is not necessarily true. Some people physically don't have the ability to do it. Some people are not able bodied. And even if they have the physical ability to do it, they may not have the mental ability to do it. They may actually need emotional support, but they're not allowed to receive it. So I would say this is discrimination. It's discrimination against your disability to do it yourself. It's also wealth discrimination because this overwhelmingly or disproportionately impacts the poor. The poor don't have the ability to just go fly to Switzerland. Not only that, it's discrimination against the human species. It's speciesism. Because we already know that cats and dogs are eligible for medical assistance. It's discrimination against law abiding citizens because if you were a capital murderer, you would be entitled to medical assistance. But because you did not murder anybody, you are forced to just suffer. And I don't believe any of this is being done in good faith. I don't think they're doing it because they're protecting the vulnerable. All this bullshit. That's what they want to. That's what they want me to debate about the anomalies, the rare exceptions where the vulnerable might be taken advantage. So the rest of us should be held hostage because a minority of people are vulnerable. And meanwhile, they're not going to make any effort to move the needle whatsoever. This issue has been discussed. I don't even know when this whole well, I would say since the American Medical Association lobbied to criminalize it in the first place, which is around the 1960s. No, it might have been before that. I need to go back and confirm those dates. I've talked about English common law, and under English common law, well, you can't really punish the dead. So what they did was they didn't punish the person who committed the act. They punished the family. They made sure that if you did commit the act, then your family would be stigmatized and they would not be able to inherit property. So then the property would go to the crown. Why? Because you don't actually own your life and you don't actually own your property. The sovereign does. And if you guys listen to my live stream for the 4th of July, I talked about that. How American jurisprudence was supposed to be moving away from the British sovereignty model. The people were supposed to be sovereign, not the state. And somehow we have slowly moved right back in that same direction. I don't know. I mean, do you think this is legitimate? Do you think it's legitimate to say You already can, but if you want to do it, then you're going to be breaking the law because it's effectively against the law. Again, they can't actually prosecute a dead person, but they can prosecute those who assist, and there is backdoor criminalization through the health and safety codes. Just for expressing an intent to do it, you can be put in a mental, you can be psychiatrically confined against your will. You can be forced to pay all these psychiatric bills. You can lose your liberty. So, no, they're not going to call it criminalization, but it is the functional equivalent of criminalization. It's the functional equivalent of not just criminalization, but criminalization with fines because you have to pay those you have to pay those fees, and they are substantial. So, in effect, they are punishing you for expressing a desire to not be here. And so you already can do it yourself because they always want to talk about how decriminalizing it or legalizing it is a slippery slope. Well, if you're saying that I should do it myself without any medical assistance and without any guidelines from the state, I'm fine for that, but I want you to know that that is a slippery slope to anarchy. And you guys are, I mean, I know society in general is against anarchy. Yet when it comes to this one area, it sounds very anarchistic. And I know that you're being disingenuous, so I don't take you seriously. If you were a real anarchist, then maybe we could have a conversation. But to hear you already can from a status, it goes in one ear and out the other because you don't believe that I already can. You don't want me to have any rights anyway. You don't want me to have any autonomy. You want to gatekeep. You want the state, well, you specifically, you want to gatekeep to where I have to go through you to get permission, and you're using the state as your mechanism for controlling my life. So let's erase the veneer that the state is some nebulous, undefinable entity. It is not. You are the state. So when you say that it should be regulated, what you're saying is that you specifically want to serve as a gatekeeper through the state. You're saying that you think you own my life, even though you don't pay my bills. Because it is every man for himself in any other context. Any other context, you're going to tell me to stop whining and get over it. I can't come to you for anything. Yet you want to keep me trapped and you don't think I should have any rights. You don't think I should have any say over my own life and what I choose to do with my life. Yet it's like you want everything but the burden. You want the control, but you don't want any of the responsibility. You want to keep people trapped, force them to exist against their will, but they can't come to you for help. You're not going to protest. You're not going to advocate for them. You're not going to pay their bills. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to go home, watch TV, take pictures of whatever restaurant you went to and post it on Facebook, get your nails done, watch football, do whatever trivial bullshit you do. Out of sight, out of mind. You support policies that you don't understand, you don't care enough to understand. It's not your responsibility because once you support it or once you vote, well, but it's almost like we're bullied into silence anyway, because if we were to say how we really feel, we would be institutionalized. So You have that going in your favor also. That you don't actually have to hear us whining. Oh gosh, I was supposed to be doing a whole live stream about whining, and I completely forgot. I keep having all these topics in my head, but I just forget them. So I'll try to remember that I need to understand. I need to do a live stream explaining the social function of telling people to stop whining. These people want absolute state power in every other domain of society. No autonomy whatsoever. They want to say, they don't want to deregulate or decriminalize. No, they want to regulate it. They want they want to say, but they're using the state as their instrument of oppression. And they don't think that it should be held accountable, even though the state institution is only representative of what they want. And they support it. Whether they support the specific politician is of no moment. They support the damn system. I mean, if you really think that I should just do it myself or that I already can, then you were to take it to its logical conclusion, then you would support decriminalizing it. But you don't support decriminalizing it, which means that you don't really believe that I already can, and you don't want me to have the ability to do it without state approval. The entire social contract has been nullified. It's not based on consent. It's not based on the general will or take like the common good, none of that shit. It's based on coercion, manipulation, manufactured consent. And these people told you to rely on a social contract. Don't do it yourself. You're not an individual, you're part of the collective. You're supposed to reroute your grievances to the collective, to the state. Yet they don't want to hear about it. They just want you to shut up and stop whining. I guess it doesn't matter because the social contract is working for them. They're happy. They get to extract from other people, so it's benefiting them. They get to be happy at other people's expense. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them that it's not benefiting you. They just want you to shut up. They want you to shut up so that they can continue making you miserable in peace. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to be held accountable. Just shut up. They're not going to change their behavior at all. They're not going to change society so that people can have a decent, meaningful quality of life. None of that. They will maintain the status quo and just have you shut up about it. It's selective civilization. It's civilization for them, for the winning side, and barbarism for those who are on the losing side. And so these people are not even in positions of authority. They're at the bottom of the totem pole just like you. But for whatever reason, they think that the state represents them. So these little peons will sit up here and debate and present arguments in favor of the state, manufacturing consent. Because for whatever reason, They seem to think that the state represents their will. And if the state does represent their will, then they are the ones to be held accountable. This is your government. You're getting what you want. You support it. Why am I gonna? I mean, why am I pretending that I don't know who my oppressor is? It's you. You support it. You are the master state. All right, y'all. I don't know. Let me go back. Okay, I only have one comment. All right, y'all. Um, yeah, I wanted to do this live stream over the weekend, but I'm having issues with my laptop, so um, I guess I'm. Oh, okay. I have so many things going through my mind, and I'm just like scattered. But I do have another topic that I want to cover this week, and maybe I'll do a panel discussion. I'm supposed to be debating this attorney, which I don't know if she still wants to do it, but I'll check back with her. Um, so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back soon.